On the PST 113 list of possible topics revolving around the Hamlet Prince of Denmark by Shakespeare, I chose to speak on the topic listed as number 1. The topic purpose is for me to explain to the audience what is happening as the play begins. The 3 questions on everyone's mind while exploring the beginning of the play is to find out who the men are, what are they doing in the play, and where is this story is taking place. The setting, action, and people set the story in motion and allowing everyone who reads or watches to get an idea of what the rest of the story will become. Without either one of those ingredients, the beginning of the story will not be stable, and Shakespeare's story will not be famous and well known if he chose another path. I will explain to you the beginning of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, by telling you who the 2 men are, what they are doing, and where they are at in the story. The first question on many of your minds may be, who are the individual at the beginning of Shakespeare's play, the Hamlet, Prince of Denmark? In the book titled Hamlet, it introduces the both of the characters by mentioning their name and giving their position in the story. The book tells us that the name of the characters are Francesco and Bernardo, of which Francesco appears first in the scene. Francesco is standing on the platform of the castle, and Bernardo is the one coming out of the shadow, standing far from where Francesco was posted in the story. Among the spark notes in the first paragraph of the summary, it introduces both of the characters, and it gives hints as to who Bernardo and Francesco are in the story. Among the website, in paragraph 1 of the summary, it mentions in the first sentence that Bernardo appeared to exchange places with Francesco. The first sentence pointed out that Bernardo and Francesco worked for the King of Denmark by patrolling the castle. I introduced to my audience 2 men at the beginning of the story, and I am about to talk about what they are doing in the scene. What are Francesco and Bernardo doing at the beginning of the scene in Shakespeare's the Hamlet, Prince of Denmark? Among the production of the Hamlet by Shakespeare, acted out by the Bethany Lutheran College, show that Bernardo and Francesco doing at the beginning. Beginning of the college production, Francesco is standing on the platform patrolling the castle while smoking. As for Bernardo, in the college production, he came into the scene to relieve Francesco of his duties while he takes over guarding. In the book of Hamlet, it talks about Francesco and Bernardo having a brief conversation with one another before Francesco leaves the scene. In the book, Bernardo identifies himself, tells Francesco to be relieved of his position, and asked him how his day was patrolling the castle. Francesco in the book is scared by Bernardo when Francesco warns him not to sneak up on him and answers the question Bernardo provided. I have finished talking about Bernardo and Francesco were doing, and now it is time to discuss the setting of where they are in the story. Where is the setting of which Bernardo and Francesco are at in the beginning? In the book titled Hamlet, it mentions in the beginning where the scene took place. Every year that it should be close around the time of among the Bethany Lutheran College production on the play of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark by Shakespeare. The 2 men playing the characters used body language, sight, and what they wear to show that the season, so what season the time is too. In the production, Francesco has a thick coat on while rubbing his hands together, suggesting that it is winter. Also in the production, Bernardo shouted and Francesco couldn't see, so he yelled back to hear where he was coming from, signifying that it was night. Once again, from PST 113, listed of possible topics revolving around Hamlet, Prince of Denmark by Shakespeare, I chose topic 1 to discuss with my audience. I have explained everything that revolves around both Bernardo and Francesco. I mentioned who they were by stating their name and their job. I talked about what they were doing in the scene before Francesco departed. I also stated where they were from the year to the season and the time of day. Overall, I explained who the two men are, what they were doing, and where they were in the story.